Hey, welcome to our stream, What the Tech. We are glad to have you today. And off to my, let's see, maybe this direction. Over
Almost. Yeah,
here
we're on the
is
side.
Dave.
Hey,
Friday,
Rolando, how
baby.
you doing? Rolando, how are you, man?
I'm doing fine. I'm good. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm glad we made it through a rocky, choppy, bouncy, and at sometimes ugly year.
Yep, it's certainly been the most interesting that I can remember. Looking forward to positive things in 2021, right?
Likewise, that's exactly what we want to see in 2021. A little bouncy at the beginning here, a few days. If you're watching the news a little bit, but I think it will have overall a much better 2021. So why don't we jump right into it for our folks that are tuning in today? You've got a really good show coming for you. We've got a battle royale of headsets. So we're going to
We
have
do.
six headsets that
Yep.
we started a battle royale almost towards the end of last year, where
Mm-hmm.
we did some tests in the car. And a lot of folks said, we'd like to see more of that. So we're bringing more of that to you.
Yeah, I'm
But
looking
before
forward
we
to it.
jump into the battle royale, let's throw up the trivia question. Ori, do we have that? All right. So here's our question. Very simple. True or false? Apple sells more smartphones than Samsung. It's very interesting. We'll reveal the answer at the end of the stream. So let's go right into what we've done here with the Battle Royale. So we took these six headsets, like I mentioned earlier, and I took them outdoors with my dog and walked around, put them on my head, see if the noise from the cars or the wind would actually affect the quality of voice that actually you hear. Because Dave, if you're on a headset, what good is a headset if people are just listening to the wind when you're talking, or they hear
You
the
know, and
cars whizzing by?
and I know we talk about it a lot, but it is the most distracting thing. And I mean, how many times have you been talking to someone and the first five words they say is, "Can you hear me?" Or you're hearing people say, "Hey, I can't really hear you." I've heard a lot of headset users, they just give up real fast and they go back to their hand receiver. So this will be a nice test to see which ones you wouldn't have to do that with.
Right, absolutely. So we're going to start in reverse order of ranking here. We're going to go from six all the way down to one. And
Good.
I got to tell you, as we were getting ready for this, I'm putting out this package of videos together for all these different headsets. I was actually surprised, and I'll let the audience go ahead and chime in. And if you're watching us on any of the platforms, you have the opportunity today to interact with us. You can send us your comments, your feedback, what you think, what you thought of. If you're on Amazon, Facebook, or YouTube, we'll be glad to respond to you, chat with you, engage with you. Let us know what you think. Let us know where you're joining in from as well. So, Dave, without further ado, let's go to the number six spot, and then we'll also independently rate these as after the video. So you'll watch the video, and then after the video, we'll go ahead and give you our comments on it. So go ahead, Ori,
All
roll
right.
that footage. So in this video, we're going to do a test with the Vont Bluetooth headset. Uh, it retails for around 30 bucks, so it bills itself as a very affordable Bluetooth headset for those that want noise canceling properties. So I'm outside, walking out, and fairly windy day. It's not terribly windy. Not toppling over. There's no trees falling, but you can see that we clearly have a windy day. Not sure if that audio from the wind blowing by is actually making it into the microphone, but we want to see. We've got cars going by, so we want to see if that road noise makes it into this test, because if people can hear, there we go, if people can hear all this stuff in the conversation, they probably aren't hearing you very well. So this is the Vont Bluetooth headset doing the outside test. Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
Very interesting. So $30 headset, Dave. Affordable. Anybody could buy that.
Yeah.
Anybody on a
Yep.
tight budget. But head outdoors with it, what do you think? And before I throw on my ratings for it.
You know, you and I talk a lot when you're outside, and that would be very distracting to me. I could certainly tell that it was windy. I could hear the cars. Uh, I guess we'll have to see how some of the other headsets did, but for that, for $30, it's doing exactly. I guess it's not surprising me. It's not overly impressing me, but it's a value product, so it's operating
So
as such.
all right. So here's how we're gonna do this kind of like the last time we did some ratings on it.
The
I'm gonna
rating,
give
yep.
it. We're gonna give it some instead of stars. We're gonna give it rockets. Um, so 5 for voice clarity. That's being the most, and 5 for the ability to block out noise. In this case, the cars and the wind. So if we go with voice clarity, which is important, and I think it's one of
Hmm.
the most important features, I jotted down that at those moments when it's not blocking out, when you don't have any wind, the voice is not bad. So it was, and you'll see as the other videos roll through, I thought the voice was pretty good, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 for voice clarity, especially if there is no wind of any kind. And it's hard to believe where you're going to go on Earth when there's never any wind. There's always going to be some
True.
wind, right?
If you're outside, this is an
If you're
outdoor
outside,
test.
right. Now, for its ability to block wind noise and road noise, I gave it a 1. It was really not the kind of thing you would want if your intention is to go outdoors and to be heard clearly. If there's any kind of wind, I would rule that out. This is really more of an indoor type of headset, wouldn't you say? Or would you have a different opinion about that, Dave?
No, I agree with that. You know, it does sound good when the cars weren't driving by, and when the wind wasn't moving, you're just fine. So I'd also agree, give it a 4. But that noise cancellation, they could do a much better job. They'd have to charge more money for the product, but I would give that a 1. The second you started to move, probably wasn't even windy at all, but just moving, yeah, you could tell that you were moving forward.
That well, then there you go. And so that's a really good thing to keep in mind. So $30, and more than likely, and you'll see this as we move into the other headsets. The lower end headsets don't tend to have the technology behind it. And my suspicion, Dave, is that they don't, in their firmware and software and in the chipset, they don't have the technology to recognize wind noise or some of those other noises and block that out.
Exactly. You know, they're not playing with the big boys, that's for sure, but it's a nice entry level option.
All right. And now, so my gave it a 5 out of 10, and your rating on this one would be, Dave?
Also also a
Also a
5
5
out
out
of
of 10?
10.
All right. So now we go to number 5. And this was really the surprise of all of the ones that we're featuring today. And by
Yeah.
the way, if you're on Amazon, you have the opportunity to see all the headsets that we do provide on Amazon. They'll be featured right at the bottom in the carousel. You could check them out, purchase them. We'd appreciate that. So number 5, the biggest surprise, of number 5 was the Apple AirPods. And I'm not going to say anything. I'll let the folks just watch the video and you tell us if it's worthy of a number 5 or it should have been higher. Go ahead, Ori. You ready for that footage? All right.
We've got the Apple AirPods plugged in. You can see we've got our road behind us. We've got our dog with us. She's coming along as well. And let's give this a shake. See how it sounds as cars come approaching. All right, we've got some road noise here. We've got cars. Do you hear my voice? Does it sound good? Does it not sound so good? We test as we walk coming by, and I keep talking and let you see if this actually will sound pretty good. Let us know. See what you think.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I'll tell you why I gave it the 5th position of the rest that are left. Every car that went by, you could hear it. You could hear like the streak of the car going by. And it didn't filter out any of it. Any of it. Now, what I would say it did a slightly better job was its ability to take some of that when you're walking, as you noticed with the number six rated had the Vont or Mpow headset. You don't kind of notice that breeze that normally happens as you're walking.
Right.
What you noticed more were the cars whizzing by.
Yeah.
If you were listening to it, so if you're listening to us on any of the platforms today, you would have heard just cars going by on that playback. And if you have the opportunity to wear headphones while we're doing this product demonstrations and ratings, I really encourage you to do that. You'll hear more of those little nuances that are in the background. So, Dave, what do you think?
For voice clarity, I don't think this came. I don't think this was as good as the Vont product. I'd have to say that this is a 3 out of 5 for the voice clarity itself. But for the what is it, the background noise, the noise cancellation or the noise reduction, you know, I I'd have to say that this is maybe a 2. Maybe
And,
yeah,
and
so
that's
it's I kind of give it an equal score.
okay. And it's funny. So for those people that are not watching, Dave doesn't have my notes that I have in front of me, but we actually are rating this independently, and he's seeing it for the first time. I've had the opportunity to look at this, and I actually gave it the exact same rating. That was my feeling on this compared to the other headsets that you're going to see as we move up the ratings. It performed a little better on that noise blocking, so I gave it a 2 for the noise blocking, and I gave it a 3 for voice clarity because I thought it should have been better. It's Apple, and I've got it right here on my desk.
Sure.
If and what Here's what I've found. We're not knocking any of these products. We're just giving you our honest opinion. And like with the Apple AirPods, if you use them to listen to music, they're great. They do a great job of streaming music to your ears. But it's a whole nother matter once you start talking. And I would suspect that if you've seen any of our previous reviews or other demonstrations where we've shown clips of people using them in interviews or other situations, you'll see that once you start talking, does that headset actually do the job that maybe some cheaper headsets, in this case the Mpow, or some other comparable headsets around its price range? And that's what we're here to do: try to give the people a way to sound better. So if you're a professional, you can sound better and sell more. So Dave, yes. So overall, I gave it a 5 out of 10. I was surprised. I'd have thought it would have performed better, but it is what it is.
I
So,
agree.
all right. So now let's move on to number 4 and number 3. So we've got in the number 4 position another very popular Bluetooth earbud style headset that a lot of folks are using, that they wanted to see this one tested this way as well, because they're meant to be used, and the earpods, a lot of people use those for moving around, being outside, and in a lot of cases exercising with them or jogging. So at number 4, the Jabra Evolve 65T. Now, I will also say that the Jabra Evolve comes in a couple of different versions. This was their first of several, but still the most popular because it's very affordable, and a lot of folks use it. So we used it in our test. So, Ori, why don't we roll to the Jabra Evolve footage?
So this is the Jabra Evolve 65T wireless earbuds. As you can see, they fit pretty good as I'm walking around. Uh, we've got cars going by over here to my far left. I don't see any cars coming up from behind me right now, but this should give you a pretty good idea of what it sounds like as you're walking at a normal pace, if it's also picking up that background noise from those cars. Hopefully this thing is picking up more of my voice than cars. You be the judge. Let us know what you think. Across this intersection, let's see if we're picking up a lot more cars than voice. Does it hold up to the big boys, to the other noise canceling headsets on the market? Let's find out.
All right, there we go. And there you have it, the Jabra Evolve. So It does a little bit, and here's the other thing, Dave, that when I had to actually see all these videos probably several times because
Yep.
once you get to this part of the ratings, they're very close from the number four from five, four, three, five, four, and three. I'm having a hard time counting backwards. Five, four, and three were really close. So we're talking now about splitting some hairs here
Right.
in terms of background noise, in terms of voice clarity. I found the voice was coming through in terms of the actual voice quality was coming in through a little bit better than the AirPods. Now, when it
Sure.
came to background noise canceling, it did a slightly better job. Not a huge, big leap, but a slightly better job than the AirPods did. And
As
before
they
I give it
should.
my ratings, I want to see what you think.
I feel the same way. For a product with that cool, slim form factor, I mean, you have to admit, you're trying to conceal that product. And an iPod, sorry, the Apple product is, you're not afraid to show that off. I think the
Right.
sound quality was slightly better, and I think it also did a little bit better job with the noise reduction or the wind reduction on that backside. I've also had a lot of conversations with folks that use those headsets, and I've always had a very pleasant experience on the receiving end of the conversation. So I'm gonna say that it's slightly better, in both cases. But what do you give it for a score?
So my scores on this, I gave it a 3 in voice clarity. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was very similar to the AirPods. Just a hair. Maybe I'd give it a 3.5. I don't think the graphics are set up for half increments, right, Ori? so so we'll give it a 3. And yes, and then I gave the 65T a 2 for I would have given it a 2.5, but we could only do full increments. So 2.5, but a 2 in its ability to block out some of that road noise. It did again a little bit better job, but not a huge difference over the AirPods.
Well, I think that this is a better sounding product over the AirPods. I don't want to give it the exact same score. So if you were going to give it a 3.5, which I
Mhm.
was also going to offer it a 3.5 for noise, sorry, for sound clarity, and a 2.5 for noise reduction on the backs on for background noise and wind noise, I would say that this product deserves a better score than the AirPods and
So
should get
that
a
would have
total of
been a
six,
6, a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
There you go, 6 out of 10. So I guess on the overall, that works out, right? Half and a half. So we get a 6.
There you
Good
go.
thing we both went to school to do math, right?
Very complicated math.
It's a very complicated trigonometry type of equation here. All right, so we move on to number 3. And at number 3, the EPOS Presence. So EPOS is a brand that Sennheiser, they rebranded. So if you're not aware that Sennheiser has been around forever in the US and outside the US, and in the US, they have the name Sennheiser is now EPOS. So they've been doing some rebranding. So Sennheiser slash EPOS is the headset. It's a Bluetooth style headset. It's not an earbud like the AirPods or like the Jabra 65T, but it's a small, slim one that a lot of folks like. They like that profile. They like that type of design, and we wanted to show you what that would sound like when you took it outdoors. Go ahead and roll the footage, Ori. So we're taking the Presence from Sennheiser, the Presence UC Bluetooth headset out for a spin as well. We're going to take a nice little stroll, see if we get some really good noise canceling properties on this Bluetooth headset. It's supposed to block out some noise. Well, let's see. We're out here by an intersection. We've got wind blowing, we've got cars going. People should just hear your voice rather than everything else around you. That's the way it should work. But not every headset is built that way. That's why we do these tests. As we keep walking here, We see that. We've got some wind. Let's spin it around to the back. You see those trees moving? You know we've got some wind moving. I'll be a little quiet. See if we get noise on this microphone. All right, and that's your Presence 5200 UC on your network. Hey, David, looks like we had some technical difficulties on that one. We apologize for that. We're trying to see if we can fix some of that, but let's go ahead and give the folks what we thought about that one.
Sure.
So you had to work through the technical difficulties to make that out. So let's see. So on the EPOS, I thought it did a little bit better job. And let me hit the noise canceling. The noise canceling was slightly better. You didn't hear every single car going through. And Sennheiser is one of those companies that has kind of built their name around audio quality and clarity and being able to hear clearly. And I don't know this for a fact, but I believe to be true is that in that headset, it does have some of that firmware to block some different frequencies because you didn't hear too much of those cars, although you heard some, as well as the wind. So I gave it, well, before I gave it my ratings, let me see what your thoughts were on that, Dave.
Yeah, we know that Sennheiser is an audio company. They are definitely doing more than just using good components, microphones, and speakers. I could hear that it wasn't picking up all of the background noise. Your forward motion isn't ruining the experience by any means, but overall, I think the sound quality, they did a good job. And the noise canceling or the background filtration, they did a decent job as well with keeping out some of that wind and the vehicles.
Well, I agreed. And the voice, voice clarity was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. It was okay.
Yeah.
And it was hard to tell for our audience because of the technical difficulties we were having there on playing that video back to you. But it was okay. It's probably a little bit easier to hear that conversation versus the other devices, other headsets that we had on there when you were talking, because you hear more of the cars, you hear cars whizzing by, you hear the wind all the time in the case of the Vont Mpow headset. So I gave it a 3 for voice clarity and a 3 for noise. I would have given it a 3.5, but 3 and 3, so 6. So I thought they were a little bit close. The Jabra and Evolve were very close, with maybe a little bit more of the edge towards the EPOS than the Jabra. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I would give it a 3.5 for the voice clarity, and then probably a 3 for the background noise reduction. So if you had a 3.5, we'd give it one. Well, what's that? 6, 7.
7. There we go. There's the math. It's coming in, man. It's playing games with you. So if you did 3.5 on your end, then you would have given it 7 out of 10, and mine would have been 6.5 out of 10. So we're close.
All right, that sounds good.
All right. So let's jump to number 2. And let me just check with Ori. Ori, are we good with that? I think we should be good with the rest of the footage. He's saying we hope so. So I will apologize in advance. I guess there's a ton of people out on the internet, so we're going to try to do our best to bring you the best footage here that we can possibly do. So, Ori, let's jump into the number 2. So the number 2 was the Plantronics Voyager 5200 UC. So this headset, and let's remind Dave, our folks again, the UC version is the version that you would use if you're a business professional and you intend to use this not only with your mobile phone but also on your computer. And that's why we're using the UC, because folks they're not just outdoors all the time, but they're probably working from home. And if you're using it with your computer, you probably want to know if you take it outside, is it going to do the job? So Plantronics also has a couple of different versions of the 5200, but they only have the 5200 UC with the Bluetooth dongle, which is meant for business professionals. And if you're on Amazon, you have that in your carousel right now. So you can get that. So don't wait for the video. So now, Ori, let's roll it for the folks watching us, that 5200 UC footage. In this test, we're taking the Plantronics 5200 UC version. I'm walking purposely very close to the road. So we want to see if a lot of that road noise makes it into the microphone versus my voice, which is what you want to have. If you go out for a stroll, like on a nice day today, trees, birds, or maybe you're working from home and you're tired of looking at your four walls, including everything inside the home. So this should give you a really good idea. This microphone performs as advertised. That is one of the things that Plantronics claims, that on this microphone, you actually have some wind blocking capabilities, in addition to some noise blocking features with the multiple microphone array that is built into this headset. All right, now this is the Plantronics 5200 UC, taken out for a little spin on the. All right.
You know what, Rolando? I don't think we should make apologies. Everybody is using bandwidth. There's only so much bandwidth available. I gotta say, I really liked the demo. Yes, a little bit laggy video, but that's okay. One thing I definitely noticed is as you were walking and talking, I was putting my eyes on the cars coming back and forth.
Okay.
And there was no sudden of, sound disruption from when you were talking.
Like whizzing by?
Yeah, like whizzing by. I didn't really get that. And I will say, you know what? You made a joke in the middle of it. It made me laugh. I wasn't distracted by the punchline. So I got to give it up to this product. This product's been holding up really well with some of the other tests. So I'm pretty impressed with it.
Right. So that's the one thing and unfortunately we had, it is what it is with the internet right now. But the first thing I noticed was that as those cars were going by, especially at the high speeds, you get a little bit of that, and then the technology kicks in because it's got an array of multiple microphones on the Plantronics, and I happen to have that here with me. So there's several microphones that are on there listening for different frequencies, and it does a good job of recognizing those different frequencies and then filtering them out so that the voice kicks in, rather than like with what we saw with the Mpow, where there was just continuous wind. It was continuous car noise. Or with the AirPods, where you could hear every car going by, zoom, 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 zoom. You could if you're with your eyes closed, you knew exactly what was happening. So if you close your eyes with the 5200 and you kind of heard some of this, you may make out the road noise. But it wasn't like every car going by, oh yeah, that sounds like a car going by. Or like the wind. Yep, sounds like the wind is continuously blowing. So I gave it on this one, that's why I gave it in the number 2 slot. I gave it 4 for noise blocking, so they did reduce the wind significantly compared to the other headsets that we saw, as well as those cars. It did reduce that, and it did a pretty good job doing that. And voice clarity, I thought it was a little bit better. I would have given it a 3.5. So for me, it would have been a 7.5 out of 10.
We're going to play that math game. I also give it a 4 for voice clarity for all those same reasons. And maybe a 3.5 for the noise blocking. So were you 3.5 or 4 for noise blocking?
I did 4. So we did the halvesies for the different ones.
So I'll give it a 4 for noise blocking as well.
So we're very close to the same. So, and now for the number 1 spot, I guess at this point if you do the process of elimination, you could tell we have only one headset left, and that's the BlueParrott and the BlueParrott B350. Now the B350 is a series of the B350 is one of several models that BlueParrott makes. So they make a 250, they make a 450, they make a 550, as well as several others. This is one that when you're looking at the BlueParrott, the microphones are rated right around the same, where they're rated for around 90+% of noise canceling. I believe the B350, 450, and 550 are at 96%. So we want to see if it actually is going to block out most of that background noise. So without further ado, let's go to the number one spot on this test. Ori?
We're taking the BlueParrott B350 out for a test. Fairly nice day, sunny. Decide you want to take a walk, but you don't want to let people know when you are outside because of the wind. Or in this case, as you can see, cars going by. So motorcycles make a lot of noise, and we want to see if this BlueParrott holds up to that. It's about as close as we could get to the road without being on the road and being flattened, and have cars all going by. So if you happen to want to be outside on that nice, beautiful day, wherever you are in this country or any country for that matter, and you don't want to let people know that you're outside. So this is the BlueParrott B350.
All right. I don't know if you had, if you're listening to us and you weren't watching that video, there was a motorcycle that day when I shot this. It was loud. It was like one of these performance motorcycles, and it just screamed by, just, and I thought that for sure is going to make it into the video. And I was really surprised that you don't even know it. You have no idea.
I couldn't hear. I certainly I forgot that you told me about the motorcycle piece. I never heard it. And then I'm doing the same thing that we were doing with some of the other tests. I'm looking at the cars, but on this one, I'm not hearing a single car. I could hear a little bit of wind, which I think the microphone is maybe just adjusting to your voice, trying to figure out if that is wind sound, wind noise or your voice. But Rolando, I gotta say, this is such an impressive product. You don't know that those are cars. You don't know you're on the street.
Right. And for those folks that haven't seen our other product demonstrations, I invite you to take a look. If you're on any of the platforms, you can go through our previous videos, and this headset is holding up very well. This is our second round of these types of headsets. And we had it at number one when we did the blender test. Yeah, when we did the blender test, it came out on top. So right. Look, this is not going to set the world on fire with fashion, and you should know that, right, Dave? It's not the prettiest headset, but it does the job. So if you're not concerned about being a fashionista and your priority is just, I want to know which one sounds the best, there you go. And if you don't want to wear such a big headset, the 5200 is a good second option in terms of going outdoors and using something that does the job. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah. You know what? As far as being a fashionista, BlueParrott, they have a full portfolio of products. They've all focused on, they're focusing on those microphones. And I think you'd find that there is a size or a wearing option within that BlueParrott portfolio that would appeal to you as well.
That's right, Dave. And so let's share with the audience, now that we've revealed all 6 of them, the answer to the trivia question. So the question was, Ori, can we put that back up? There we go. True or false? Apple sells more smartphones than Samsung. The answer is false. Surprise, surprise.
Wow.
Apple does not sell more than Samsung. And according to the IDC, that they do all the tracking and all this, this was as of Q3, Samsung held the top spot at 22% market share. Huawei, a Chinese brand, number 2. Xiaomi, I think hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct, the number 3, and Apple at number 4. I was surprised when I saw that. So
Yeah, me too.
uh, amazing. So hopefully you enjoyed this stream today. We love bringing you this content. We want to remind you to like us, hit all the bells, hit all the whistles, send us all the preferences, the chats, talk to us. We'll engage with you. Let us know if you need, you want to look at some other headsets, or you want to see performance of other topics or other things in the future. We'd love to bring more content like this to you. Dave, do you have any parting words for our folks?
Nope. Thanks for the demos, Rolando. You did a really, really good job. These are all good products, and we're hoping to hear from our viewers and our customers soon.
All right. Wonderful. Thanks for joining us today. And we'll
right.
see you on the next one.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.